Hey y'all, welcome back.
You acting like you tired.
No, I'm
You
getting
laughing
off.
from the last one?
Yeah, the
Okay.
last. Yeah, we got some bloopers on the way, by the way. Welcome back to There's an I in Marriage podcast.
Yeah.
Woo! You talk about you funny. Um, yes. Let's talk about pace in
Again.
Yeah, in relationships, in marriage. Matter of fact, because that's what the end goal is, right?
Yeah.
Not the end goal, but the end goal.
Bingo.
Yeah. So, we had watched this video that actually helped re-inspire us in this conversation because we was thinking about it. You want to talk about what we just watched?
So the video, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
The video was basically about the woman walked up to the mic and said, what can a man get from a wife that he absolutely cannot get from a girlfriend? And one of the members who is actually married answered the question saying like mentality, testament, favor, spiritual oneness, covenant. She just named off a bunch of stuff, and it's all true. And then the guy, he put her in as a but, and I was like, but I've learned that but cancels out exactly what she just said, which is biblical, and that kind of threw me off for a loop, and it kind of wrestled in my spirit. But then Nick kind of explained it a little bit better. And what he said was also true. I just, whatever. Lord, help me fix. Not
Y'all
just
are doing some
but
good
anyway,
work, anyways.
Yeah.
We tonight's
anyways,
conversation.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah.
He said like, he said something like, some women give these things off anyway, even without the ring. It's like going to a buffet before paying, eating it all, and then someone saying, you don't have to pay right now, but pay later, pay when you feel like it. He's like, well, what am I pay for? I'm already full. So girlfriends give these things before the ring, but I said they actually don't. I didn't comment or anything, but we talked about it, and I said that actually no, you cannot receive favor from a girlfriend. You cannot receive spiritual oneness from a girlfriend. You cannot receive covenant from a girlfriend. You you have covenant when you're with the Lord, but you receive a different type of covenant when you're in oneness with a wife. So things like that, I was like, you don't get that you just don't. Like it says, he that findeth the wife findeth a good thing and receives favor from the Lord. Like you.
And this is
You
not
didn't
to
say
knock what they're saying.
Yeah, no. But like I disagreed because it was like what he said was true, but I also there was a piece of me that disagreed because there is some things that you just cannot get from a girlfriend. And you went on to say,
basically, a man can get a lot from a girlfriend, but he cannot become spiritually one with her and God at the same time. And a lot of the other things that she had listed off, essentially you can't get those things because there's a level of commitment that is required from you once you get married. And one, it's true because I'm living in it, and I'm not
different.
and I'm not saying it because I'm saying it, but it's because it must be true because the way that God does marriage, there's no other way that you can get the same thing from a girlfriend. And so with this level of commitment that you just cannot get because if you're not willing to commit to someone, and this is also on both sides, this is not just a man finding a wife, this is also a woman accepting her role with her husband. Okay, so you have to be able to commit to the daily tasks of being together and the daily goals that you have. And so a girlfriend, yeah, I can be with you all you want if you're giving me all of that, but I never said that I would commit to you after a certain point. But I mean, as long as you feeding me, I'm gonna be here. But when that tab comes, when a woman is asking, hey, so what are we? Hey, are we gonna move into the next thing? Hey, what's next? It's like, oh, I didn't think I was gonna have to commit. I just was giving you company, and I thought we had this agreement, and yeah. And I'm not trying to bash men. And I'm
It
not.
don't sound like you
And
are.
and women sometimes get in these funks too. That when a man actually wants to step up and she's not ready, it can be intimidating. And that's really what it is. But being on this side of marriage, you do have to commit, and what you commit to is the pace. Again, we're talking
Find out
about
that pace.
you commit to you and your relationship's pace. So our pace, for example, we don't necessarily have a lot. We don't have kids yet. We do have Roxy. We do have this house that's new and built. We do have bills. We do have car notes. We do have these things. I decide every day that I am scheduled to work, to go into work, to make sure that the money is there to pay these bills, and to make sure that we have food on our table, and to make sure that I have money for date night. I go DJ to do these things because I know that there's more that we have to accomplish in our future days. And if I don't show up, I am threatening our security and safety.
That's my man right there. Just letting y'all know.
Like I'm for real, and I know I want to give this example of Steve Harvey's book when he was talking about act like a lady, think like a man, and he did the whole movie. There was a guy that was the non-committal, and so a lot of people, and please understand that sometimes people aren't ready. It's not that
It is.
they won't do it, and they won't ever do it. They just may not be ready to commit. They have to do that internally. And so you had this guy that always shied out of doing responsibilities, and his lady was basically asking him tasks, not just because she wanted him to do a lot. It was it was the necessity for their relationship to grow, and he was dragging his feet on it, as we would call it. And so now listening, like having this conversation again, the reason why it's important to understand your pace is because whoever you decide to be with, they need to be able to understand how fast or slow you are going to operate together, but also what God has for you. Because God also requires stewardship. Because if we don't show up and do our jobs, we won't be able to steward this house. We wouldn't have a home. We wouldn't have cars. We wouldn't have a way to get to work. We wouldn't have car insurance. And then therefore the accident that we had a year and a half ago wouldn't have been covered. Car would be totaled out, and we'd be owing money. Yes. Like there's levels to it. And I hope we're not intimidating you. I hope we're encouraging you to understand that.
This is why you ask. I'm sorry, I didn't cut you off. This is why you ask those questions early on, and as you grow and develop, as God is showing y'all that y'all are for each other or not for each other, you start to learn that pace, so you aren't working out of something in your own strength, trying to get somebody where you are, and that person isn't ready. That person is like, no, this is my pace. This doesn't feel right. I don't want to be married. I don't want that house right now. I don't want like imagine if I didn't want a house. I've always known as a little girl I wanted to build a house,
And I did too.
so it's like, had I been like, I don't want that right now. I don't want that right now.
Had I said,
I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready.
No,
or vice versa.
Remember,
Yeah.
you said, "Hey, I saw Arbor Homes. Let's
Yeah.
go build this house." If I said,
No, yeah, shied away, that would have knocked us. Had I been fighting it more so too, it would have knocked us. It would have made us butt heads a lot more than we needed to. It's like finding that pace of grace in yourself and with the person that you're trying to be with. If y'all are not, again, equally yoked, if y'all are not like trying to help each other in a way, and if they aren't ready,
or being
you
patient
cannot
with the other person,
being patient with them and gently encouraging them. The Bible says gently urge each other. But like if you aren't willing to do that, if you aren't willing to find the person in your pace, or you aren't willing to help push that person in the most gentle way possible, And if you aren't willing to slow down for that person, even though God has already confirmed these things, like this is the one for you, then it's gonna make the situation a lot harder than it needs to be. Now, I'm not saying that if somebody's constantly saying, "Oh, I'm not ready, I'm not ready, I'm not ready," wait for them. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if they have this hesitance to them and they're showing you red flags, then yes, that may not be the one for you. But if they have this hesitance, but yet they're still trying, that's different. That's very different. If somebody is showing you, it's kind of, I mean, I'll speak on my own situation in the past, like someone who kept telling me, "Oh, I want to be with you. I want to be with you. I want to do these things. I want this, I want that." But your actions are just showing me just you're stagnant. You're not moving. You're not doing anything. And
Sometimes
I'm here.
the opposite.
It's you know what I mean? It's like, no, this isn't working for me. So then to find somebody who, Nick, is willing to slow me down but also keep me going, it was like, this is the pace. This is my pace. I didn't know my pace in my last relationship because
It wasn't there.
it wasn't there. But like now, again, we talked about this. He knows how to slow me down, and I know how to gently urge him to do what he needs to do. So it's a tongue twister. It's a multitude of things. But this is why I say pray, because and go out and seek the truth for yourself. Don't just take my word for it. Don't take Nick's word for it. But we've tested it, we've tried it, and it's proven true that when you ask these questions in the beginning, you find out that person's pace and what they want. Pray they don't lie to you. And when the first sign of lying comes up, yeah, you find out the truth. But anyways,
Pray through that too.
pray through all of that. Pray through it all so you can find out that person's pace, know your pace, and y'all work through it together. And also, don't leave a person in a pace like you in a relationship, everything's working out, but you keep going and going, and this person's like, wait, like I need to still understand this back here. Don't leave them.
Yeah, so I was just actually about to get into that. Like, if you're in a relationship, or mainly so marriage, because, and I'm not saying that, that some relationships are just doomed to fail. Please pray to God on what's really best for you and your pace and where you're supposed to go. But when it comes to actually being in marriage, I think a lot of reasons why we avoid conflict and fight or arguments is because, one, we still know what the goal is. Number one, we're both on the same page on what the goal is. Number two, it don't have to be all of that. It don't have to be a fight. It don't have to be anger. But three, it's just the fact that sometimes in all relationships, you're not going to be on the exact same page. You may know what the goal is, but maybe one day somebody is dragging their feet. One day somebody's not in the moods. One day you're pushing somebody too far. One day there's going to be something. Everything is not going to be smooth. But if you are in a marriage and you agree that you're going to work together to accomplish some goals, appreciate the fact that somebody says, I know what the goal is. We're going to get there. I may not be ready right now. And that's completely different than trying to find out if somebody has the same pace.
Yeah. So I pray that this isn't sounding too confusing. So in dating, finding that person, find out their pace, and figure out what you're willing to commit to. And in marriage,
you should be already committed.
You should already be committed to it. You've already known their pace. And even though y'all was on the same pace for the first 5 years of marriage, but now this 6th year, for some reason, y'all can't get on the same page. Be willing to voice that, but be willing to accept that and stay committed.
And then sometimes plans change. God can change plans. You get enlightened by something new that's exciting or different, or something you want to try, something that you find very valuable. Present it to the other person, and then when that, as long as y'all both agree, y'all gonna be good. Y'all gonna be good. A lot of relationships fail. They say a lot of it is because finances. People can't get on the same commitment and finances, literally. Finances, people just don't know how to handle finances together. I pray for relationships and marriages where people are doing financial business together, and one or both are failing each other on making sure that things are suitable for your safety and security and peace. Like I I don't know about you, but I just could not imagine not coming home to a home. I don't know about you. I don't know how I would feel with having my car repoed. I don't know about, and it's not out of like you gotta work hard, you gotta, you gonna need your days of rest.
Of course.
You gonna need to figure out what is your purpose in life. You need to figure out what's your pace in life. Yes, I'm not sitting here saying that you need to hurry up and get a job and be miserable. I'm not asking you to do that. But what I do know that is God has allowed me to understand what my role is in life. And now that I know my role, I have these responsibilities at home. I signed a contract that I want this house. I signed a contract that I want this car. I signed a contract for a lot of other things. And so I'm going to pay for what I can afford. I'm going to show up as much as I can to make sure that not only I have a place to stay, but my wife has a place to stay. Our dog has a place to stay. It's not about always glitz and glamour. It's just the basic necessities. I need to show up so that I can keep it. That's stewardship. I need to stop looking at things that I don't need to look at because I want to keep this relationship. I need to turn off reality TV because I can't say the things that reality TV people say because I want this relationship.
I want to keep my friends too. Like you can't. Yeah.
There's a lot of entertaining things out there. I can't keep smoking this because I keep spending all my money on it. And if I want a relationship, I need to know that I need to put my relationship in a little bit more higher priority than my own personal needs.
So what you're saying is because of that commitment and that stewardship, and you know the pace that we're in, you are willing to stay committed and stay stewarding over the things that you have to stay in that pace.
Absolutely. For another example, I am a DJ. I know that I'm not going to be DJing every Friday and Saturday night, every single Friday and Saturday night. I would love to. There's a part of me that wants to be the greatest DJ in the world, but I know that my wife is important to me, and so if you don't catch me out at a club DJing on Friday and Saturdays, because I've chosen this as my priority. Also, I'm not going to a club and spending $20 to get in and spending $20 on drinks.
We talked about that. It's not, to me, there's no judgment to anybody who does it.
No, not at all. I'm a DJ. I want you to
Yeah.
come out and support the DJs and support everybody in the venue.
But like, a piece of me is like,
can't do
if
that
this
every
ain't
weekend.
planned, if it's not planned,
I can't do
and
it
it's every weekend, it's exhausting.
It's
Like, don't randomly be like, oh, let's go. We just left out to eat. Oh, let's go to the bar. Or let's go to this club. I'm like, you didn't tell me this last week. You said we was going to eat.
as much as I would love to have fun with you. The way that my bank account is set up, I got a checking and savings and all my money. For real, like
For me,
there's
it
just-
just has to be planned.
as much as we want to help people too, like, because that's a different thing, and I know this is going to be a very sensitive subject. We love friends and family, but the way that our bank account is set up, we have a checking and a savings, and our bills, our sanity, our peace comes first. And I would encourage you to find the same values as God does, not what we value, but what God does in your peace and sanctity, so that you can handle those things and yeah, just please.
If we talking about that money wise, like, I am a very generous person. Like, I love giving, especially when I got it. I'd be like, here. But then there's a piece of me where whenever I have that heart, and Nick, I have to tell Nick, and I'm like, he's like, well, we got this, we have this. How much do we have? And what's coming up? And he starts to help me think through these things, and I'm like, God, I want to give it. You said don't withhold from my brother when they ask. And so it's like, no. Nick makes me be more realistic about it. And then I also spoke to an elder. So because I love him and because I do love God, I still want to stay in this pace of grace and generosity. I don't want to be stepping out constantly just giving where I have nothing. An elder told me, when I do my bills, you ain't my bill.
Yeah.
And I mean that in the most loving way.
Yes.
We do have a giving account, but it's for like Christmas
birthdays,
and
maybe,
you know what I mean.
maybe.
It's for those types of things. And again, it's not that we aren't generous, but it's the fact that
we have a priority.
And when we talk about that pace of generosity, I'm constantly trying to move with it, and Nick is like, whoa. Slow down. And I'm like, okay, you're right.
We love you.
Because I love him and because I love God, I
you.
want to stay in that pace of generosity where God is like, give what you can. And be willing to say no because I need them to learn a lesson or I need them to learn something in this.
Can we flip the script a little bit for the women that love clothes and shoes, or the men that love clothes and shoes, or the men that love video games, or the men that love you can apply this in so many different ways. It's not always about giving. It's not always about you have to know what is your thing that you would be willing to spend all your money on, and come to your significant other and say like, hey, this might be a problem for us. Can you keep us on pace so that we can get our goals done?
That's why when I shop on Shein, he has to tell me
what's our
whoa
budget.
There.
Look, what was the fall budget for the decorations?
Yeah, so we have fall decor, and again, because I love him, because I'm committed, and because I want to stay in our pace and not go over budget.
But I'm willing to say, like, I know that it's important to you, and feeling festive and feeling like the house is vibrant and different in different seasons. I respect that.
Yeah.
I'm not that type of person. I'm not saying it's gonna be bland, but
you might see a little pumpkin somewhere, but that's it. But
if that.
With me, like the porch is decorated. There's like leaves in the kitchen and things like that. So, I didn't go over that budget that you gave me. I actually went under budget, and then whatever was left, I believe I bought food for us. So, stuff like that. But that's what I mean. Like I'm willing to stay in that pace. I pray that this all makes sense to you and whoever's watching. And if it doesn't make sense, feel free to ask the question. Feel free
or what's next.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I encourage, we would love to get to know y'all. I mean, like, I know it might be a lot of people at a particular time. Eventually, we're praying that, you're sharing this with others and hoping it's blessing others. But we would like to get to know what's going on in your world so that we can help you. If we have the time and God graces us with time and patience.
Yeah, feel free to DM us,
please,
email us.
Please.
Because I know this is a complex topic and staying in that pace and like wanting to find somebody in your pace, but then having to slow down or speed up when they change, or needing to realize when someone is not in your pace. Is it right to get with them? Is it not right? This is why I say pray, or we say pray to God. Like, they're not in my pace. Should I even be with them? But sometimes I wasn't in his pace, but God helped me speed up to his pace. He was willing to wait.
One random thought I just had, and I kind of wanted to talk about it in the other video, and this could actually be a whole like thesis conversation type deal. Okay. People between the age of 18 and 30. When we talked about like spending time with God to know your pace, I highly encourage you. I highly encourage you. I mean, always spend time with God, no matter what your age is. Even if you're 65 and you still want to figure things out with dating and marriage, of course you need God. But there's a lot of things between high school, some college, all of college, and getting your feet wet in the real world that it takes so much out of like if you wanted to date somebody and date somebody serious to the point of getting married, you just don't know a lot of stuff. I'm not saying that that's gonna go for everyone. It depends on your upbringing. It depends on what you know about dating and relationships. It depends on your relationship with God. But I highly encourage you to get in tune with God and God's pace for you first before you really dive into being in wanting a relationship. Because, and I talked about it in my own time. Understanding your eye, understanding your purpose and everything. When you add someone into this relationship, as you now see that all the things that goes into being in marriage afterwards, and there's still some more that we can talk about, just because there's so much that we've already experienced, and I'm sure we're gonna have other people tell.
More stuff. Yeah.
Anyways, like knowing who you are and who you're called to be with God, and we're not asking you to be perfect people, but knowing who you are supposed to be with God, trying to be with someone else just because you don't want to be alone is really, and it's really gonna take so much out of you, and your momentum to getting where God wants you to go. I know there's been people, and shout out to them if you ever watched this video, who told me, "Don't worry about girls; they always gonna be there." And I didn't understand it until the time I actually was like, you know what? I don't want to be in a relationship. Like that finally made sense, because it's like you try so hard to have a relationship with someone. But there's just so much groupthink that you have to undo because high school told you that you had to bag the girl, you have to get with the pretty girl, you have to be with them, you have to make sure that nobody else gets with them. Oh, they're fresh off a relationship, let me holler at them, slide in their DMs. You go from that culture to, and speaking from us, our personal experience, college, who's like, it's the same thing. But now people are doing things in life, and I'm not saying that people after high school don't do nothing. Like if they don't go to college, that you're not somebody. You can be someone. But it's just that in college you get to see that on a level. You start understanding that people have majors, and they're going to get degrees, and they're going to do special things in the world, and they're going to earn huge salaries potentially.
Part of organizations.
You're
meeting people who actually are like
and
higher up,
and you get enamored with all of that. Like it's so beautiful to see, and it's like, okay, I do want to date a doctor, I do want to date a nurse, I do want to date a lawyer, and you get so infatuated with all of that. But then if you hadn't spent time with God and got your alone time, because there's also the silly high school things that we hold on to when it comes to dating and sexual relationships and so on and so forth. Once you get out of college, you are completely alone. And I'm not saying like alone as in like you, like sadly, but it's like all the people that you've been around and you
helped you make decisions.
Help make your decisions, and you thinking the same way and you do the same things. Like that starts to fall off.
Because now you have to make it yourself.
You have to make them yourself. People are gonna start getting married. People are gonna start having kids. Your people start acquiring houses and doing all types of stuff. And if you still holding on to those high school thoughts, if you're still holding on to that, then I highly encourage that you spend time with God. Because
that's a pace you ain't grace for no more.
It's not.
That was the Holy Spirit right there.
It's not. Thank you for filling that in.
Basically what you said was that ain't a pace that you grace for no more.
You're not a high schooler.
Because when you outside of that pace of grace, ain't nothing going right.
Because at a 25-year-old, and I'm not calling out any particular 25-year-olds, but if you're still thinking, I got to get that defined girl, you're kind of missing it.
You missing out on life. It's so much more to life.
You get the degree or get that that career going, get that business going, get whatever God has put on your heart, because He's calling you to do some things that's going to
So
impact
much more.
other people, whether it's going to be big or small. He's asking you to live your life, your I, your new I.
No matter what that look. Oh my God, and thank you, Lord, because for reminding me. God, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off either. But when I was talking about in the last one, God is calling me to like live my life 100% with Him. Tell Him the things that I like live it unapologetically. The world has made that such a thing where people are doing all these crazy, wicked things. That's not what God wants us to do. When He says, "I want you to have life and life abundantly," yes, He wants you to obey Him. He wants you to love Him with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, all your body. Then He also wants you to love your neighbor as you love yourself. When you are able to do that, you are able to live life abundantly.
Hey,
You can still
you might
enjoy.
want to rewind what she just said. She said it fast. She's spitting the information like she an AKA, which
I'm
she
sorry,
is.
I am spitting fast. But like, when you are able to do those things with Him, you can live life and He will grace you to do the things that you want to do, which is why it says, go ahead and it's good to eat. It's good to have that experience. It's good to drink your wine. It's good to wear fine clothing and jewelry and perfumes, expensive perfumes and things like He says that. So if you want to go to the movies,
responsibly.
But when you're able to obey the Lord, when you're able to love Him with all your heart, soul, and mind, when you're able to love your neighbor as yourself, when you're able to just obey Him, you will be graced to enjoy those things. Again, don't love them and have ambition for them, because then that's when you leave them out of it. When you're able to do those things, He will grace you to be able to go to Vegas twice a year. He will grace you
To have a house.
He will grace you to be able to go to a. Now, I'm not saying you need to hang out at these places, but if you want to go to a bar just to listen to music and have a drink, that's okay. Just don't.
They got good food there.
Yeah, they have good great wings. Like, we're still young. We still like to have fun and go out. Like, we have an occasional beer. Like, it's not that deep. But when you do the things that God is calling you to do, you will honor Him. You will be able to live out a life in abundance. And again, it's not about the drugs and the alcohol and things like that. You'll be able to travel. You'll be able to eat the food you want to eat. You'll be able to, just enjoy life. So
This
get in that pace.
This goes back to seek ye first the kingdom of God, and everything else shall be added unto you according to Him.
They did all of that in the Bible. They had weddings. He said don't go to wild parties. But other than that, I guess what I'm just trying to say is, if you tell God what you like, you obey Him. And please pray. I'm not saying go out and do wicked things, but He will grace you to be able to enjoy life and enjoy the things that you tell Him that you like to do. That's it. Of course, like I said, don't be out here doing nothing wicked. Don't be out here doing nothing crazy. Talking about well, the Lord graced me to do it. No, He didn't. Don't be out here putting His name on stuff. But just stay in His pace. Stay in His pace for you. And that's what I'm learning myself.
And the whole purpose about our book too was to encourage you that change is good.
Change is great.
Change is good. Change is great. Yes.
And He will mold you into the person He needs you to be.
So take the time, understand pace. Understand that pace is not only just for you in your singleness, but for your relationship. We want your relationships to continue to grow. We want them to be blessed, that you have fruit in all seasons. Yes, we're praying for you. We're praying that your family will allow you the space to change into the person that you're called to be, rather than hold you back. We're praying that your family grows. We're praying for everyone. And so, yeah, we love you. Thank you for listening to us. Comment, subscribe, share with a friend. We're going to be back with more. Love you. Have a great week.